Now, to have this one out, I'm joined by a couple of journalism legends in the shape of Mike Parry and Nina Myskow. And this is going to be absolutely fantastic. So, thank you so much, both of you, by the way, for giving up your Friday night. I'm sure you have a virile social life, and you've dedicated it to this. Mike, I'll start with you. Would women make better leaders?
First of all, can I just say good evening on a Friday night? It's the one night of the week when I take a sherry before dinner, OK?
Yeah. Right, so I already don't believe you, but carry on, yeah.
And may I also say a big hello to Francine and Will, as well as yourself, Patrick. Thanks very much indeed. Now, can I just point out that you've asked about whether women leaders could be more aggressive than male leaders. Can I just point out that 250 years ago, Catherine the Great invaded Crimea, OK? So she got round to that 250 years before Vladimir Putin. Can I also point out that Bloody Mary, Mary Queen of Scots, Mary I of England, had at least 1,500 Christians, Protestants that is, burnt at the stake. Can I point out that all over Europe, in the times of ancient Greece and Rome, as I'm sure Boris Johnson, a classicist himself, will know, women leaders were going around burying prisoners alive if they didn't like the way they looked at them. So there is a huge history of women leaders who've been brutal across the ages. To the modern era, I'm sorry, can I just
very
say
quickly,
this?
Mike, very quickly.
Very quickly, Mrs. Thatcher fought a proper war to protect the sovereignty of this country, whereas David Cameron and Tony Blair fought illegal wars that did not need to be waged.
OK, right, Nina, thank you very much. Nina Myskow here. I will bring you in now. I mean, look, hey, would the world be a better place if all of the leaders were women? Because, I mean, Mike, it sounds a bit like thinks you might be a menace.
Look, the thing is, I've always thought that women rule the world and women should rule the world. If you look at the female leaders in Scandinavia, look at Jacinda Ardern in New Zealand, Jacinda Ardern, these are women of great courage, great strength, great wit. They are not toxically aggressive. So they are more pragmatic than that. What I think is the most ironic thing about this whole stupid, idiotic point is that it's the pot calling the kettle black with Boris Johnson. He is a delusional, narcissistic, aggressive person. He has led our country into a state where 80% of people in this country think and know that we are less respected in the world, that we have gone down in the world since he's been our leader. We are a laughingstock, and it's not just because he's a man, obviously, but it's because he is a narcissistic person who has surrounded himself with yes men, and he's charging ahead. He's not invading another country, but he is destroying ours.
OK, all right. Mike, are you a toxic, narcissistic, nasty piece of work?
No, I'm not. And look, I listened to what Nina said. I can't remember Boris Johnson actually waging.
I'm not saying that about Mike. I'm talking about
I know you're not saying about Mike. I know you're saying about Mike. I'm saying as a man, right, Mike?
Yeah. I can't remember Boris waging a war so far. He probably hasn't had time yet. But I do say that the reason that 300 or 400 people are coming across the English Channel every day is down to the horrific decisions made by Blair and Cameron on waging war in the Middle East. And they were pointless wars, they were hopeless wars, and Boris Johnson has not done that. What Boris Johnson has done is he stood up to tyranny, has led the world in the battle against the tyrant called Putin, and we should all be very proud of him, and it has glorified our country. It has not in any way put the reputation of this country into any doubt.
Look, just Nina, I'll bring you in a sec, but I want to ask you something directly. This is something I don't think we included in the Voxes there, but I was out pounding the pavements of Maidenhead earlier. The pavements are the worst for it, by the way. But a lot of people were saying to me, hey, look, if women wanted to rule the world, if they worked a bit harder in politics, they could do it.
It's not a question of that. You worked a bit harder. That is not it. You know that women bear children, and therefore they have to take time out to look after, bear those children, to look out after them. So you can't just say that we're on an equal footing with men when it comes down to that. That is absolutely not the case. You know, the women have fought a long and hard battle. If you look at other countries, a country I know that Mike likes is Iceland. Well, in 1975, 90% of the women went out on strike because for better rights. They did no work at home. They did no work anywhere. And within a week, the whole country was in chaos. They'd run out of hot dogs because men were trying to feed their children. All they could think of was hot dogs. They'd run out of them. But within 5 years...
Sorry, right. Look, no, sorry, Nina. I'm going to have to interrupt here. It's not... I take your broader point, right? But the idea that when all of the women in Iceland went on strike, that the only thing the men could think to feed their kids was hot dogs and the country went apart, clearly can't be true.
Hot dogs. They ran out of hot dogs.
What? You know what? Unfortunately, but the difficulty with this is I can't now disprove that because I'm live on air and I've obviously never heard that before. So if that's true, then that's wild. But I mean, I can't. I'm sorry, I can't believe that that's true. But
that's fact.
Okay, right, Mike. Okay, so Mike, I'll lob it back over to you. We're going to go to our panel in a second, but Mike, I mean, you know, is there an argument, therefore, I suppose, that if men didn't occupy countries or rule countries, I should say, that things would be done more efficiently by women? We're talking here in the context of war, right, and in various acts of aggression and stuff. Maybe someone like Nina would be more sensitive.
Well, I don't think Boadicea was terribly sensitive, was she? What happened was the Romans came here, started messing around with people in her part of the country, East Anglia, and Boadicea hit back. Now, that was a necessary and quite justified response. I don't think women go and needlessly start trouble all over the place. And again, if I can refer back to Mrs. Thatcher, her logic and her ability to run things was based on common sense. And women have a lot more common sense than men have. Mrs. Thatcher said, if you spend more than you earn, you get yourself into trouble. If only every chancellor since then could remember that. And I say again, she only ever sent our military forces out into the world to protect sovereign UK territory, whereas Cameron and Blair waged war to big themselves up because they thought if Mrs. Thatcher's won a war, I want to win one as well.
All right, Nina, can I just ask you a pretty straightforward question? From where I'm sitting, you know, a lot of the feminist arguments seem to be there's no difference between men and women, but what you're saying is there is a difference between men and women.
Well, it's not fashionable to say it, and it's not helpful when we're trying to get gender equality. But I think we have to be strong enough as women to recognise that there are differences between men and women. Like, as for instance, saying that men, on the whole, are physically stronger than women. That's a fact. That's a fact. But there are certain attributes that women have. We prefer to talk rather than use our fists. So we go back, you know, so therefore we are more inclined to debate, to be more sensitive about the issues and to think before we, you know, we don't put some testosterone to the pedal. That's what I'm saying.
Both of you, thank you. I thoroughly enjoyed that. I'm sure our viewers did as well, and our listeners did. Lovely stuff, that. And, yeah, you're both fan favourites here, so keep coming back. All right, that was, of course, two journalistic legends there, Mike Parry and Nina Myskow. Thank you very, very much.